Yo, what's going on everybody, and I'm actually excited about today's video because I'm going to be covering my main legend, my favorite guy, the one everybody loves to hate. That's right, I'm going to be showing you how to play Caustic. Now, Caustic is an S tier legend. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, he is up there. I think he's the best defense legend. Yes, I know Watson got a huge buff, and yes, he just got a huge nerf, but I still stand by that statement. Because I don't feel like he got nerfed at all. If you're feeling the effects of that nerf, then you probably aren't playing him as well as you should be. Now, is that me being biased because he's my main? Maybe, maybe not. But I do think he is better than the other defense legends because he is the most versatile and well-rounded. Because there's actually a lot that you can do with his gas traps. So let's jump into his abilities. Caustic's Tactical lets you deploy 3 gas traps, and there's a 25-second cooldown for each trap. You can take up traps to refill a charge, and you can deploy up to 6 traps at once. But if you put down more than that, then they'll start replacing the first set that you put down. These are proximity traps, so anyone that comes close to them will set them off automatically, or you can shoot them to manually trigger them. It takes 3 seconds for a trap to fully set up before it can activate. Now, once activated, your traps release gas for 11 seconds, and it'll take 150 damage to destroy a trap while it's active. After a trap disappears or is destroyed, gas will linger for like 2 seconds. The gas does take damage like thermites, and the max damage got uncapped, so gas damage starts at 5 and ramps up by 1 every other take, so it goes 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, you know, you get it. Up until you're dead. It doesn't cap at 10 anymore, and I forgot to mention the most important part: the gas does damage straight to health, not shields. And yes, the damage does stack if someone triggers multiple traps, but only by 1 extra damage point. And the tick damage does stay at 5 if it's affecting downed players. Caustic's gas obscures your vision and stops you from sprinting, but you can still shoot and heal while in it, and those debuffs don't affect your teammates who are in friendly Caustic's gas. If you're going up against a Caustic, you can destroy his traps by shooting them mid-air or while they're inflating, but once they're fully set up, you have to shoot the base, otherwise you'll have to use up a bunch of bullets, getting that 150 damage to fully destroy it. Caustic's passive knocks vision, highlights enemies as green that are in your gas, but you have to be in that gas too, otherwise you'll just see a bunch of damage numbers running around. But pretty much just think of it like having a threat sight for your passive. This doesn't work through walls for enemies, but you can see traps that have been triggered highlighted through surfaces. His ultimate, the Nox Gas Grenade, just covers a wide area in his gas for 15 seconds, and the cooldown for this ability is 3 minutes. So that's all the abilities. Now here's tips for using his traps. First of all, think of his traps as claymores. You wouldn't put a claymore out in the open, right? Well, the same rules apply to the traps. Always hide them around corners and blind spots. Enemies shouldn't be able to easily see your traps and shoot them. So any spaces where people could just walk past, put a trap there. Next to doorways, top of stairs, next to zip lines, in the elevator shafts, in front of boxes or rocks out in the open. If it's a path someone can take, just put a trap next to it. Because when they hit it, you'll get hit markers, and that's intel you can give to your team that someone is coming and from exactly where. So that was trap placement. Now let's talk about playing indoors. Caustic is strongest in enclosed spaces, so when it comes to holding down buildings, he's the king. I always start by putting traps down at every door on the ground floor in buildings, and then working my way up. Now, while there are mobility legends that can enter buildings from the 2nd or 3rd floor like Valkyrie Pathfinder, most people will come in through the ground floor and go up. So if you hit your traps well, you can just watch them get triggered one by one as enemies work their way up to the building. And you can use that intel to tell your team exactly where the enemies are, so you can get ready to push. In much smaller buildings, I prefer to play very aggressively. The moment a trap goes off, I rush whoever's in my gas, because they can't sprint or see that well till they get out of the gas. So I use that to my advantage, plus my passive will highlight them and make them easier to kill. So I try to knock them pretty quickly. And anytime a trap is gone from an entry point, I'm always there to place another one. I'll even put one down while the previous trap is active, so when that goes away, the other trap is ready for the next person. This is why I say I don't feel like he got nerfed. If you're always there by your traps, the moment they go off, people can't step in to destroy them. So if you're feeling that nerf, that means you're not playing close to your traps, and enemies can just destroy them and push in. Your job is to constantly keep pressure on people at entry points and stop them from coming inside. In my first Caustic guide, I said I don't put traps in front of doorways, but I'm much better at them now, so I'm here to say that's exactly what you should do. Caustic traps are solid and can block doors from being opened, so put them in the middle of doorways to stop enemies from getting in. You can shoot your traps from outside the door, but I wouldn't worry about it. Like 90% of the player base isn't really good enough to pull that off, so I wouldn't worry about it. But I only put traps in front of doors for certain situations. I'll block off all the doors if I'm trying to revive a teammate and enemies are outside trying to push in. However, if a teammate is outside, I'll leave like at least one door unblocked so they can still get inside. If you're being chased by a team, drop a trap in front of the doorway so they have to find a different entry point, and that can give you a little bit more time to escape. Or the last situation is to block doorways and kind of like funnel your enemies through a certain entry point. So I'll do this if there are lots of teams fighting outside. I'll block off most of the doorways and just leave one open with the trap next to it. And when they come inside, I'll know exactly which doorway they're at, or I might just be sitting there waiting for them to come inside. So that's what it means to hold down a building as Caustic. I have traps at every entry point, and just be ready to replace them the moment they're gone, and make it hard for enemies to get inside. And if they do, nobody should get in without you knowing. If you did your job well, you should be able to hold a building for a very long time and keep your team alive and keep enemies back. Now, for Caustic out in the open, first tip is use your traps as cover. If you're hiding by a rock or something, just drop a trap in front of it and crouch down, and you can pretty much be invisible. And as you see in this clip here, I drop a trap in front of Wraith because, she's getting shot at from across the map and she just ducks down behind that. If your teammates get knocked, drop a trap and shoot it and use that gas as cover. Now, because of his nerf though, drop the trap in front of you so the trap can soak up that damage first before it gets destroyed, and then they start hitting you. Next, never try to throw a trap out mid-gunfight. You'll always die. Never resort to doing that. If anything, use your ultimate and then get to cover. I haven't talked about the ultimate much, but it's best to use on enemies that are bunched together inside or outside. Just drop in on them and shoot where you see the numbers pop up. If you're making a big push, throw your smoke and play as aggressive as possible, because again, the enemies, they can't sprint or see that well while in your smoke. This is your time to shine. Once that ult comes out, it's up to you. In some cases, if I have to, I'll use my ult like Mangalore's smoke screen for cover if I'm caught out in the open, and I'll just use that so I can just get to cover and they can't see me. But speaking of Mangalore, throw your traps into her smoke and shoot them to highlight enemies hiding in her smoke. But this is mainly for if she uses it indoors. In this clip here, this Bangalore literally killed her whole team. Dropping smoke indoors with a Caustic is the worst thing that you can do. They can't see where to go and they can't run because of my gas. Caustic comes in clutch in final rings because that ult just blinds everybody and it goes straight to their health, especially if the ring took off some of their health. They'll just get knocked extremely fast. Now, because everyone hates Caustic, I'll dedicate the next section on how to actually counter him, because everybody complains about him and I play him and it's not that hard. It's not that hard to counter him. So first, another Caustic is the biggest counter to Caustic. Caustic's gas can't damage another one, so if your traps are getting set off but you're not getting hit markers in the building, chances are another Caustic is in your building, so go and check. Secondly, patience. I know it's not what you want to hear, but Caustics will punish people who want to rush in because, you can't sprint in his gas. So, Wraiths, phase before you go inside. Mirage's decoys and Crypto's drone, they can set off gas traps. If you set off a trap, you'll actually hear it beeping right before it deflates. So that's how you can know, get ready to push in when you start hearing those beeps. It's kind of going to sound like this. The longer Caustic is inside, the stronger he'll be because he'll have more time to set up traps. So you gotta destroy his traps faster than he can replace them. But again, if that Caustic is good, they'll have traps everywhere, and then there's still the issue of his ult. But be patient and don't rush into a building that Caustic is defending. Or sometimes the best option is to just not take that fight at all, just leave that squad alone and go and find someone else. But if you are being chased by a Caustic team, the worst thing you can do is run indoors to hide. Always try to stay in open areas so he can't gas you out. You don't want to fight him in the areas that he's strongest. Now, as for playstyle, Caustic is great for people who like to play like really up close and in close quarters. And remember, don't use your gas to kill people, use it to help you get kills. Set up traps at every entry point for intel. Use your gas traps as a deterrent to keep people back when defending a building. And if they still choose to rush in, then punish them for it. And that's pretty much how you play Caustic. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe for more Apex Legends content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.